Hey, welcome back to the show, everyone. Today we're diving into the latest numbers from Adani Green Energy Limited, or AGEL. They're a major player in India's renewable energy space, focusing purely on green energy like solar, wind, and hybrid projects.
That's right, AGEL is actually India's largest renewable energy company and has been expanding rapidly. They have a significant presence across multiple states and are known for developing some massive projects, including what aims to be the world's largest renewable energy plant in Khavda, Gujarat.
Very ambitious. So they've released their results for the fourth quarter and the full financial year ending March 31st, 2025. These are the audited results approved by their board on April 28, 2025. We've got both the consolidated and standalone figures to look at today. Let's start with the big picture, the consolidated results. How did they do on the top line, say revenue from operations for this latest quarter?
Okay, looking at the consolidated results for the fourth quarter ended March 31st, 2025, the revenue from operations came in at 3,278 crore rupees. Comparing that year over year, it's a solid increase from the 2,841 crore rupees they reported in the fourth quarter of the previous financial year.
That's a decent year-over-year jump. What about quarter-over-quarter performance? How does Q4 compare to Q3 of this financial year?
Good question. Sequentially, quarter over quarter, revenue also saw a significant rise. It was up from 2,636 crore rupees in the third quarter ended December 31st, 2024. So strong growth both year over year and quarter over quarter for the top line in Q4.
Excellent. Now what about profitability? Does the report give us EBITDA figures, or should we look at profit before tax?
The press release actually highlights their EBITDA from power supply, which is a key metric for them. For the full financial year 2025, the consolidated EBITDA stood at 8,818 crore rupees, which is up a strong 22% year over year. They also achieved an impressive EBITDA margin of 91.7% for the full year. For the fourth quarter specifically, the consolidated EBITDA from power supply was 2,453 crore rupees, marking a 35% increase year over year.
Wow, a 91.7% EBITDA margin for the year is quite high. And good growth in Q4 EBITDA too. Okay, let's look at profit before tax, or PBT, for the quarter on a consolidated basis.
Right, the consolidated profit before tax for Q4 FY25 was 410 crore rupees. That's up compared to the 347 crore rupees in Q4 of FY24. Sequentially, quarter over quarter PBT also increased from 291 crore rupees in Q3 FY25.
Okay, PBT moving in the right direction both ways. How does that translate to the bottom line, profit after tax or PAT?
For the fourth quarter, the consolidated PAT was 383 crore rupees. This is up year over year from 310 crore rupees in Q4 FY24. However, interestingly, quarter over quarter, the PAT actually decreased from the 474 crore rupees reported in Q3 FY25.
PAT up year over year but down quarter over quarter, even though PBT was up sequentially. Any idea why? Maybe tax provisions or timing of other items?
That's likely the case. The difference between PBT and PAT trends quarter over quarter often comes down to variations in tax expenses or perhaps the impact timing of certain non-operating items within those specific quarters. For the full financial year 2025 though, the consolidated PAT showed strong growth, coming in at 2,001 crore rupees compared to 1,260 crore rupees in FY24.
Got it. And what about earnings per share EPS?
The consolidated basic EPS for Q4 FY25 was 1.26 rupees. This is up from 0.76 rupees in Q4 FY24. Following the PAT trend, the EPS was down quarter over quarter from 2.92 rupees in Q3. For the full financial year 25, the EPS was 8.37 rupees, up significantly from 6.21 rupees in FY24.
Okay. And other income? Was that a significant factor this quarter?
For Q4 FY25, consolidated other income was 214 crore rupees. This was actually down compared to 279 crore rupees in Q4 FY24 and also down sequentially from 296 crore rupees in Q3 FY25. For the full year, other income was 1,199 crore rupees, slightly down from 1,240 crore rupees in the previous year. So it contributes, but the main operational revenue drove the growth.
So strong consolidated performance overall, especially the EBITDA margins. Were there any major exceptional items impacting the consolidated results this year?
Yes, there were several. Note 3 in the consolidated results details them. For the full financial year 25, there was a net exceptional loss of 326 crore rupees. This included items like a loss on the sale of their Vietnam subsidiaries, write-offs related to proposed bond issuance costs that didn't proceed, liquidated damages paid by a subsidiary, write-offs of unamortized borrowing costs due to refinancing, and costs related to withdrawing from a project in Sri Lanka. These definitely impacted the final PBT and PAT figures for the year.
At important context, now let's shift focus to the standalone results. How do these compare to the consolidated picture, starting with revenue for Q4?
Okay, looking at the standalone financials for Q4 FY25, the revenue from operations was 6,768 crore rupees. Interestingly, this is down year-over-year compared to 7,541 crore rupees in Q4 FY24. However, quarter-over-quarter, it showed an increase from 6,151 crore rupees in Q3 FY25.
That's quite different from the consolidated trend year-over-year. Any thoughts on why standalone revenue might be down year-over-year while consolidated is up?
Standalone results often reflect the parent company's direct operations, intercompany transactions like selling equipment to subsidiaries, and specific projects held directly, which might have different timings or cycles compared to the broader consolidated group performance, which includes all subsidiaries and JVs. The consolidated growth is likely driven more by the operational power generation assets across the group.
Makes sense. How about standalone PBT and PAT for the quarter?
Standalone PBT for Q4 FY25 was 171 crore rupees. This marks a significant turnaround year-over-year from a loss of 187 crore rupees in Q4 FY24. But quarter-over-quarter, PBT saw a sharp decrease from 573 crore rupees in Q3 FY25. The standalone PAT followed a similar pattern, 83 crore rupees profit in Q4 FY25, compared to a loss of 195 crore rupees in Q4 FY24, strong year-over-year turnaround, but down significantly quarter-over-quarter from 557 crore rupees profit in Q3.
So a big turnaround from loss to profit year-over-year on the standalone side, but a weak sequential quarter. And the standalone EPS?
Standalone basic EPS for Q4 was 0.45 rupees, positive compared to negative 1.33 rupees last year, but down from 3.42 rupees in Q3. For the full financial year 25, standalone PAT was 654 crore rupees versus a loss of 546 crore rupees in FY24, leading to an EPS of 3.74 rupees compared to negative 3.84 rupees last year. So a clear positive turnaround on the annual standalone bottom line.
Were there any significant exceptional items on the standalone side?
Yes. For the full financial year 25, the standalone results included a net exceptional loss of 77 crore rupees, primarily related to writing off financing costs and impairment provisions on investments in and loans given to subsidiaries.
Okay, let's touch upon the balance sheet. Any key highlights from the consolidated and standalone positions as of March 2025?
On the consolidated side, as of March 31, 2025, total assets stood at roughly 1,11,400 crore rupees. Total equity was around 22,600 crore rupees, but it's important to note that includes a substantial non-controlling interest of about 10,400 crore rupees, largely due to the joint ventures like those with Total Energies. Total debt, including current maturities, was approximately 78,000 crore rupees.
And the standalone balance sheet?
The standalone balance sheet is naturally smaller. Total assets were about 41,900 crore rupees. Total equity was around 8,200 crore rupees and total debt stood at roughly 19,700 crore rupees. The scale difference and the large NCI in the consolidated view are key distinctions.
Understood. What about cash flows? Did the consolidated statement show strong operational cash generation?
Yes, the consolidated cash flow statement for FY25 shows cash flow from operations at a healthy 8,364 crore rupees. As expected for a company in heavy expansion mode, cash flow from investing activities showed a significant outflow of 19,827 crore rupees, largely due to capital expenditure on new projects. Cash flow from financing activities showed a net inflow of 12,068 crore rupees, indicating net borrowings during the year to fund that expansion. The standalone cash flow is also provided, showing similar patterns but on a smaller scale. There's no specific mention of dividends declared in these results documents.
That capex outflow certainly reflects their growth ambitions. Now, you mentioned segments earlier. Can you break down the consolidated performance by segment for FY25?
Sure. AGEL reports two main segments in its consolidated results. The dominant one is renewable power generation and other related ancillary activities. For FY25, this segment generated revenue of 9,660 crore rupees and a profit before tax of 1,659 crore rupees. The second segment is sale of goods/equipments and related services, likely including intercompany sales as well. This segment had revenue of 2,888 crore rupees and a PBT of 645 crore rupees in FY25. Clearly, the power generation segment is the primary profit driver for the consolidated entity. The standalone financials, as per Note 10, are considered to represent a single segment.
Great breakdown. So, summarizing the performance, strong consolidated growth driven by capacity additions, high EBITDA margins maintained. Standalone financials show a turnaround to profitability annually, but maybe some volatility quarter to quarter.
Exactly. The consolidated picture reflects the successful scaling of their operational renewable energy portfolio. The 3.3 gigawatt greenfield addition in FY25 is a massive achievement and directly fuels the top-line growth and operational profitability. The standalone results are more indicative of the parent company's specific activities and intergroup dealings.
The reports, especially the notes, often contain crucial details. Were there any other significant events or notes we should highlight?
Absolutely. A few key points from the notes and other documents. First, the operational capacity growth is central, reaching 14.2 gigawatts operational, up 30% year-over-year, with another 1 gigawatt nearing completion. Second, they successfully refinanced their maiden $1.06 billion construction facility with long-term debt, which is positive for financial stability. Third, the joint ventures with Total Energies are significant, impacting the non-controlling interest line and involving specific accounting for shared assets and CCDs treated as equity. Fourth, the company issued warrants to the promoter group, raising initial funds of 2,338 crore rupees. Fifth, there were schemes of amalgamation approved during the year involving subsidiaries, detailed in Notes 12 and 13, and a new composite scheme proposed, Note 14, aimed at simplifying the group structure.
Okay, quite a bit happening on the corporate structure and financing front. Now the crucial part, the auditor's report. What did SRBC and Company and Dharmesh Parikh and Company have to say about both the consolidated and standalone results? Any qualifications or concerns?
This is indeed critical. Both the joint auditors for the consolidated results and the joint auditors for the standalone results issued an unmodified opinion. This means they believe the financial statements give a true and fair view in accordance with accounting standards. However, both sets of auditors included an emphasis of matter paragraph in their reports.
An emphasis of matter? What does that relate to?
It relates to the ongoing situation disclosed in Note 9, Consolidated, and Note 8, Standalone, regarding the indictment filed by the U.S. Department of Justice and a civil complaint by the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission against certain directors of the holding company in November 2024. The auditors draw attention to this note, which describes the allegations and the company's response. The company states it appointed independent law firms for a review, which reportedly did not identify non-compliances or irregularities. Management concluded that the pending proceedings are not expected to have material consequences, and thus no adjustments were made to the financial results. The auditors, while issuing an unmodified opinion, highlight this matter to make users aware of the situation and the disclosures made by management without modifying their opinion itself.
So while the auditors didn't qualify their opinion, they specifically pointed out this significant ongoing investigation related to key personnel. That's definitely something investors need to be aware of.
Precisely. An emphasis of matter doesn't change the audit opinion, but signals that there's a fundamental matter disclosed in the financials that the auditors believe is crucial for users' understanding, even though it's appropriately accounted for or disclosed by management. The ultimate outcome of the US proceedings remains uncertain.
Understood. So pulling it all together, what's the outlook for AGEL based on these results, considering the operational growth, the financials and the auditor's comments?
The outlook appears strong from an operational and growth perspective. AGEL is clearly executing well on its massive capacity expansion plans, particularly at Khavda, and is on track towards its 50 gigawatt target by 2030. The financial performance, especially on the consolidated side with high EBITDA margins, reflects this operational strength. The successful refinancing also adds stability. However, risks remain. Execution risk on such large-scale projects is always present. Managing the significant debt levels associated with this growth is key, and regulatory changes could impact the sector. And importantly, the shadow of the US investigation highlighted by the auditors, despite management's assertions, creates an element of uncertainty that cannot be ignored. Disclaimer: as always, this discussion is for informational purposes only. Investors should consult with certified financial experts before making any investment decisions.
Great summary. So Adani Green Energy delivered robust operational growth and strong consolidated financial results for FY25, hitting key milestones like surpassing $1 billion in annual EBITDA. The standalone results also showed a turnaround.
That's right. But the key takeaway is balancing that strong performance against the significant debt taken on for growth, and critically, the emphasis of matter from the auditors regarding the US investigations involving key directors. While the company and its independent reviews express confidence, the situation warrants close monitoring by stakeholders.
Absolutely. Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive. If you found this analysis helpful, don't forget to like, share and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, or follow our podcast wherever you listen.